Hello, everyone. This is Independent Conservative. I am Ryan Bowling. Thank you all for joining me. So, left-wing independent documentary filmmaker Michael Moore made a comment on MSNBC's what is called The Beat, I think Wednesday night, in reference to Donald Trump and his VP Vance, that they should leave the comedy to black people, people of color. Leave the comedy to those guys. You guys are not funny is basically what he's insinuating. I'm going to read you a clippet of what he had to say in a transcript that I have here. And I'm definitely going to make a comment on it because I think this man's thoughts are misguided, to say the least. So let's get right into this. As with a lot of these far left-wing people, their thoughts are oftentimes misguided and twisted and all the rest. But anyway, Wednesday on MSNBC, The Beat, left-wing documentary filmmaker Michael Moore offered advice to former President Donald Trump, the Republican president nominee, and his running mate, GOP vice presidential nominee, Senator J.D. Vance. Moore, appearing with Terry Sewell, I guess is how you pronounce his name, told MSNBC host Ari Melber he viewed what Trump and Vance were saying on the campaign trail as comedy. So basically, he views what they're saying as comedy. I mean, these people make up stuff as they go along. How he views it as comedy, let's get into it. However, he suggested the two leave comedy up to other ethnicities. Well, that means you ain't funny then. But anyway, the joy that has exploded across the country, the enthusiasm, and then he and Vance keep writing, they think it is comedy. I mean, I was watching, it is weird, and I'm thinking, why does these people, how do they even talk, man? I guess editors write down the way they talk. They say something and they stop in the middle of what they're saying and they go, we all do that from occasion, but at least we try to gather our thoughts back. But anyway, and I'm thinking, don't they know what they're saying, or is this just unintended comedy? I'm thinking, hey, Trump, leave the comedy to the Irish and the Jews and the African Americans. This is not your wheelhouse, but you see, it is not funny. And you laugh sometimes so you don't cry. And I think that that's the danger of him. And look, let's just be honest. When he goes there intending to say those things because he's reaching his base, what he sees is his base. But let me argue this, Mr. Moore. When your people, your politicians, your people on the left is talking to certain groups of people, they're talking to their base as well. So what are you talking about? Okay. Let's see what else he has to say. Let's just go to the statistics. 30% of the voters in November will be white men. That's just it, 30%. And 35% to 40% of them are going to vote Democrat and for Kamala Harris. Where he's getting these statistics from, I don't know. But anyway, that's the world he lives in now. And he and some supporters don't understand 42% of the American people are now people of color. 42%, 51% are women. I'm sorry, American people are now people of color, 42%. 51% are women. And 18 to 39-year-olds, that's another 42%. What's the plan to win here when they don't understand that the country has changed? It is a different country. End of quote, end of what he had to say. Thank God. Okay, first of all, we already know it's a different country. And not for the better in most ways, too. Because a lot of the stuff we're seeing in our country is a lot of bull crap. Okay, we're promoting things we ought not be promoting. And not only the black community, but the white community, this community, that community. Yeah, anyway. But the whole idea of him making this comment about leave comedy to African Americans, I say black Americans. We're not from, don't want to get that African stuff. Jews and Irish, to me, is asinine because a significant number of comedians were white. Robin Williams was one of them. A whole host of others were. I mean, black people just started getting into it, after the, I would say, into the comedy realm a little later on, particularly mainly after the 60s. Although you had smidgens of it before then, it only became more mainstream after the 60s We had certain sitcoms coming on and so forth. What was the one? Amos and what was it? Amos and Harry or something like that. I forget, but it was a black sitcom with two black guys on it. Although I don't know if these guys were stand-up comedians per se, but they were funny. But you had stuff like that, the whole idea of trying to spin this as the things that Trump and Vance are saying is comedy is just another way for the left to attack him. First, they were saying, I was hearing this, and I know some of you guys are hearing this, they were saying things like Republicans are just weird. They're just weird. And when I heard about that, I couldn't help but think that's all the left and Democrats can say about Republicans at this point, is that they're weird, because they don't have another argument to combat what they're saying other than they're weird or to come up with some lies and twist it. They don't have any valid arguments, so we got to call them weird. And I wouldn't be surprised if a vast majority of Americans fell for that. So I'm not going to vote for Trump because he's just weird. I'm not going to support Vance because he's just weird. If someone says that to me, then I know right off the bat you're watching too much mainstream media bullcrap. Okay, but this whole idea with Moore, I be wanting to say Roger Moore so much with this guy. This guy is a trip. I remember years ago, back in 2011, I was attending Cleveland State University, and at the time I was, a Democrat. I thought Democrat, smelled Democrat, ate Democrat food, listened to Democrat talking points. I was Democrat wholeheartedly. And I remember meeting up with a former student. He was a white guy, great guy. Oh, and by the way, he was Irish too. Say, leave the comedy to the Irish. Well, Mr. Moore, I met up with a guy in college years ago, and he was Irish. He was an Irishman. A white dude, too, okay? And he was funny, too. He was funny, Mr. Moore, but anyway. And I remember this young man here that I met up with. We became good friends. And he was a filmmaker, and he wanted me to become part of his film repertoire and so forth. He wanted me to be the assistant director to a new movie he was coming up with, but that's another story. I ain't going to get into the detail of that. But at any rate, at one point, he was taking me home, and he began to ask me a series of questions. And one of those questions was, what do you think? He asked me about, what do you think about, Mr. Moore here? I have to keep saying Mr. Moore because I always am tempted to say Roger Moore. Michael Moore. What do you think about Michael Moore? And I was like, oh, man, I think he's pretty cool. I think I like him. And the reason why I was saying to my friend here, the Irishman, that I liked Michael Moore was because recently I had watched a documentary video that he made. Oh, God, I can't remember the name of the documentary video, but it was an attack against the Bush administration. Not Senior Bush, but his son. He was president at the time. And this is during the 9/11 situation. I think the name of the video was 9/11 or something like that. I forget the name of it. It had something to do with 9/11. And it was mocking the Bush administration, Republicans, right? Far-right conspiracy and all this kind of stuff. And he was trying to tie the Bush administration to 9/11, which can be arguably lightweight accurate to some extent. Some have argued that it's accurate to some extent, but that's another story. I'm not going to get into that. But the point is that I watched that documentary and I was like, yeah, he's cool, man. I like him. He's cool. But that was all I knew about him. So the Irishman, the comedic Irishman, Mr. Moore, he told me, well, he's so far left and radical. And I didn't understand anything he was telling me when he said he's so far left and radical. I had no clue what the far left was, and I had no clue. I didn't know what the right was, let alone far left. I didn't have no clue what that even meant. It wasn't until years later that I found out just how much of a buffoon this guy is. This Michael Moore guy is, okay? He's a far left radical, knucklehead. And so it's like making this statement here about leaving comedy, you know, because he has nothing else better to say, leaving comedy to African Americans. That's a direct quote from him. Irish and Jews is, to me, for one, it's a subtle, indirect form of racism. Because what are you insinuating, sir? Are you insinuating that Irish and African Americans and Jews are only good with comedy? And I don't know many Jews that do comedy. I mean, I'm pretty sure there are, but I just don't know of any, you know, myself. I mean, put it in the comment box below, y'all. There's not any. I mean, I just didn't come up, consciously listening to Jewish comedians. I maybe have and don't know about it. Okay, I don't go around saying and didn't then back then going around saying, is he Jew? Is she a Jew? I have no clue. Okay, particularly back then. But in a roundabout way, sir, are you insinuating that African Americans, your direct quote, Irish people and Jews are only good at comedy? Are you saying that? If I wanted to be a prick, I could accuse you of being racist. Like you guys always accuse Republicans and conservatives of being racist and the new Hitlers. I mean, but anyway, yeah. The whole idea is really, really silly to say, because once again he's kind of like limiting blacks and Jews and Irish people. You know, I mean, Jews are some of the most diversified in terms of things that they value in the world. I mean, they're involved in all kinds of things that make money. Okay, and I'm not talking about illegally neither. I'm talking about technology, commerce, all of those type of things. But we're not going to even go there in the detail. But the whole and then the statistics he mentioned about the statistics. I don't trust anything statistically that's coming from the left. Now, I don't fully trust statistics altogether, but when I'm hearing it from the left, when they say this amount of us, this amount, the left tends to leave out all the parameters that go with the so-called statistics that they mentioned. So when Mr. Michael Moore mentioned these statistics and so forth about America's is 30% this and 42% this, and in other words, is less white. America's becoming less white. And because America's becoming less white, you should leave comedy to people that may not be considered, all that. If he's implying that America is becoming less white, could it be argued that Irish people are white and Jews are white? They have white skin. I'm just saying. Almost like a contradiction, right? If he's implying that America's a different world in the latter part of that conversation he made, America's a different place, what he's implying is that America is less white. But if America is less white, then it's a semi-contradiction of the fact that he said leave comedy in the hands of Irish and Jews. Because in terms of skin tone, they could be considered white. So what are you saying, sir? I mean, what you got to, the left, they're funny, man. They're funny. Nobody here that's watching it, I'm not attacking you. If you from the left and you watching this video, not attacking you personally. I'm just saying that's what I see. That's what I hear. That's what I know. All right. Yeah. Michael Moore, go ahead and keep watching. Just continue to make your documentaries, man. Do what you do, whatever. Because you guys are running out of things to say about conservatives and Republicans. You're losers. You're just losers, man. The way I see it, these guys are losers. But anyway, yeah, that's what I had to say about Michael Moore, Roger Moore, Taja Moore, whatever. That's what I had to say about him in his comment. I think what he just said is limited in perspective and not altogether accurate nor true. It's like almost a contradiction to his own words. But anyway, leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless you all. See you again.